Okay, this is Bluejedi, and I'm going to be narrating a match between myself here and Ajaxdragon on the northern part of the map. This is a 4-player map, as you can see, but we're actually turned out to be next to each other here. And we're just going to kind of fast forward through the boring part of the probes gathering up. I know this person's talking about something else here. I sent a probe over to his base to kind of see what he's doing and maybe harass him a little bit. This player kind of does little things, unusual things sometimes. Tries to do some cheese strats. Sometimes you're gonna kind of have to keep an eye on him. He likes the photon cannon rush. So you gotta check if he has a forge and stuff. I'm gonna just go over there and harass him with, my probe there while building up my own base. Getting a forge this time. Don't usually go for a forge right away, but based on the last battle I had with him, I wanted to get some photon cannons just in case. Moving the probe around for after my harassment. He's going to get away here. And I'm going to go put him on the, probably on the Belnaga watchtower, where he can get a vision of this area in a moment. Yep, here he comes. Gateway is warped in. Going to start building a zealot for defense. He is, my opponent is very close to me, so you want to make sure you have some defense up right away. And I get vision of this unit, which pretty much guarantees me, unless he goes all the way around, which is unlikely, that I'll have vision of him coming to attack. Got a forward to do, pick up another pylon, another gateway. Normally I go cybernetics for right away and get some assimilators, but being as this opponent is so close and based on what I know of him, they kind of rushed me in our last match, I want to make sure that I'm prepared for him and not teching too quickly. As you can see, he has an assimilator up, a couple probes mining from that, chrono boosting. Now, the only criticism I could give of the red player here is because we're separated so short by air, I noticed his stuff was already up here at the top. And also, if you notice, he only has one pylon powering these gateways, and that's going to be important later. It's not going to be the best strategy. Usually for your main gateways, you want to have at least a couple pylons powering those, if not more, because gateway, much harder to destroy than a pylon. And just one pylon can shut them down if it's just powered by one, and that's going to be a disadvantage. He's going pretty early Twilight Council here, which is an interesting choice. He is close. He does have some ground forces, so it's not a bad choice. But I notice he hasn't reached the warp stage yet, which I find somewhat unusual. But maybe he just wants that Twilight Council out. I go up here and do some. I like to think nice macro, but it's really him just not paying attention. But I notice he does have more than me, and I decide to back off for now. Plus, my guy lost his shields here. Shields are interesting in Starcraft 2. They regenerate much faster than Starcraft 1, and if you back off, but they kind of require a little time before they start recharging. They won't recharge in combat. They only recharge when you've been unhit for 10 seconds, but then they recharge rather quickly. So it's really good for Protoss players to learn to engage and then back off a little bit, especially when playing other races who don't have that advantage. Obviously, we can't repair once our health is being hit, but our shields do regenerate quite quickly, and doing little assaults with zealots like this can be very useful. Right now I'm just trying to kind of keep him in his base. Don't want him to expand early. As you can see, I'm putting down an expansion while he's doing that because I know what he's doing. And map control like that is very important. Just going to put a pylon down there so I can try to warp in some forces, but obviously he killed it, which is a good move on his part, but I can still see that he was, hasn't expanded yet, and I'm going to back off for now. I do have a pylon here, which I could use to warp in some forces closer to his base, but I tend not to use it. I thought that how many forces he had, though, which is, of course, very useful, and so I decide to buff up my defense here with these photon cannons, and although he doesn't come right now, they will prove useful later. so I don't regret building those. He could have come, and it would have been a very scrappy fight without the photon cannon. Although, seeing from his photon cannon love last game, I don't see any in his base this time. He favors a spread out pylon strategy, which is good because it gives you vision, but bad because you're able to shut down buildings pretty easily. As you can see, this building's on one pylon. All these three critical buildings are on one pylon. And he's finally going for that expansion now because he knows I'm probably getting one. Sending an attack force now. Nothing special, just some zealots and a stalker. And he's going to look around, make sure I'm not mining at the high mineral fields, and he sees my pylon over here. Never a bad idea to have some proxy pylons out on the map. Even if they get blown up, it's only 100 minerals, let you see what your opponent has in that case. And I noticed he had charge there too, which is, you know, it's useful to know these kind of things. Although I will say charge against other zealots is not the most useful thing. It's, you know, it's better to have a zealot with charge than without charge, but I don't usually get charge against other Protoss because it's just not quite as useful unless he's going stalkers or something like that, because if you run up to another zealot, well, so what? Now you're in a scrappy fight with two zealots. Anyway, I've decided to get a Stargate because I've seen he has a bunch of zealots, and I'm going to pump out a couple Void Rays here. It's always good to chrono boost I like chrono boosting the Void Rays. It's take a little too long for my taste without a chrono boost, but with it, it's not too bad. And Void Rays are, of course, a very powerful force in Starcraft 2. Very useful. Red player's going over here to probably circle around, check if I have any expansions, that kind of thing. Good move on his part, using his map control. Unfortunately, though, his expansion really only has a few probes at it. So does mine, though. Getting a couple pylons down here for some, able to warp in down there and some defense. Got my Void Rays up. And I was stupid here because I let my count go too high. And trying to get through. Battle over here. He actually does a good job of messing me up in this battle. Like I said, he's charging around. It really doesn't matter that much. To me. Managed to use my shield to get effect there, and of course he's so much cannon. Knock out a couple of bullets on his way out, so well worth it for those there. Getting a Twilight Council on a gateway. Never know, you know, you always want to have a Twilight Council up because Blink and Charge are both very useful abilities. And of course it allows you access to two more buildings, you know, the High Templar building and the Dark Templar building. You know,